Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation making you feel small and only later realizing that you were disrespected? Maybe it was a joke that didn't feel like a joke, or even someone speaking to you in a way that they never would to someone else. What hurts the most isn't necessarily what they said. It's the fact that you stayed quiet. So today I wanted to talk about knowing your worth, because the truth is, once you set boundaries, people will never overstep them. And hopefully at the end of this video, you'll be able to understand how to stop attracting that behavior, and most importantly, how to respond without feeling guilty. Hi, my name is Elena. I'm 23 years old, and for the longest time, I was the biggest people pleaser. I used to let others cross my boundaries quite often. It was because I was carrying a lot of anxiety, to be honest, and I simply just didn't know how to speak up for myself, and that Elena no longer exists. I'm glad she's gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Recently, after I started working more on my mental health and trying to become the woman I always dreamt of, like becoming my dream girl is what I usually like to say, I believe I finally realized my worth, and it's the best feeling ever. Let's begin with what disrespect looks like. Disrespect isn't always obvious. It can look something like people interrupting your conversations, joking about your appearance, like, oh, did somebody gain a little weight? That happens anywhere, but it's pretty common in the Asian community. Not taking your feelings seriously when you're being vulnerable and trying to open up, or crossing boundaries and calling you sensitive because you reacted, which is crazy. I think a lot of us tend to, make excuses for this because we don't want to be called dramatic. I personally had a bad habit of telling myself, maybe I'm overreacting. That's just how they are. I don't want to cause drama. But here's the truth. If it made you uncomfortable, it matters. Disrespect isn't about intention. It's about the impact. When you keep minimizing yourself to sort of keep the peace, you're teaching people how to treat you. As a people pleaser, I used to prioritize other people's peace over mine. Growing up in Japan, we were often taught to stay quiet and not really share our opinions. So shrinking myself became second nature. Unlearning that wasn't obviously easy, but I think the real shift happened once I truly understood my own worth. We can say we know who we are, but until we believe that we deserve respect, we'll keep accepting less than we should. So let's talk about why people keep disrespecting you, unfortunately. This part might sting a little, but please stay with me. People don't disrespect you because you're weak. They do it because they learn that they simply can. So if you laugh things off that hurt you, don't correct behavior that crosses a line, or even staying silent to avoid conflict, that gives them permission. And I want you to hear this clearly. Your worth doesn't decrease because someone fails to see it, but your standards do when you allow disrespect to stay. So knowing your worth isn't about demanding respect. It's about deciding what you no longer tolerate. So let me give you an example of my most recent relationship. And at this time, I was already overthinking and being vulnerable. This person that I was seeing made me question my worth. Like, you would think, what, Elena? Look at you right now. You seem so strong and so sure of yourself. I was, until I met this man, and then I went again. So I had to come back up, and now I'm back. Hey. When I was going through it, right? When I finally worked up the courage to talk to him and express how I felt, the first thing this man said was, "You're tripping." What? Right? Not even like, "I'm sorry I made you feel that way," or "I didn't know you were feeling this way." You're tripping. I'm laughing at this now because it's crazy to say to someone. Anyways, this man isn't a part of my life anymore, and I'm so happy, as you can tell. But in the beginning, it was very hard because I was like, I know I ended things, but I really miss this man. Like, was I the one who was toxic? No, babes, no, you weren't. I was being open and honest and hoping to be understood by this man, which clearly didn't happen. And that dismissive comment told me everything I needed to know. In the past, I probably would have stayed and tried to, explain myself over and over again. Like so many of us do, I would think to myself, oh, if I worded it the right way, maybe things would have been different. But not this time. I knew my worth, and I wasn't willing to tolerate disrespect anymore. Never. So I made the decision to end it, and after that, we never talked. Yay. My friends and family still ask me to this day, like, I wonder why he never tried to reach out. Oh, I would want to take you back instantly, which of course, who wouldn't? But the truth is, once you stand your ground and stop tolerating disrespect, people like that don't come back. Not because you're scary or intimidating, which we love being intimidating, don't get me wrong. It's because they know that they can't play any more mind games with you. Of course, we love making people feel that way, but just know that when you make someone feel intimidated, you're on the right track. So we know it's the right thing to do, but why does speaking up for ourselves seem so hard? If you struggle to speak up, it's not because you don't value yourself. It's probably because that you were taught to be nice. It can be because you didn't want anyone to hate you, or you associate boundaries with rejection. A lot of us grew up feeling like we had to be easy to be loved. Like if we were understanding and low maintenance, we'd be accepted. So if someone crosses a line or disrespects us, we don't respond. We just freeze. I don't know, man. Growing up, I was told that if I snapped back at people, I would be a bitch. B-I-C-T-H. And all of this isn't because we're weak. It's because we were taught to act a specific way. And keeping things comfortable mattered more than speaking up. Is it in focus? Well, I sure hope it is. So for a long time, that really made me second guess myself, and I would brush off things that really hurt me. What changed things for me is when I finally realized that people who benefit from your silence always feel uncomfortable when you start speaking up. And that reaction doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It usually means that you're doing something right. Remember that their discomfort isn't yours to carry or fix. You're allowed to choose self-respect even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. When you start saying less but meaning more and choose self-respect over being liked, I feel like that's when you know you acknowledge your worth. So Alina, what actually happens when you raise your standards, you might ask? Here's something that people don't really tell you about. When you stop tolerating disrespect, some people will naturally get removed from your life. Not because you suddenly became cold or difficult or different, you know, but because the access that they once had to you changed. At first, it can feel very lonely. I've had days where I've cried for hours, weeks, which I don't really like to admit, but we are honest on this channel. I like to think of it as a safe haven, you know, for us to grow. So no lying here, not on my watch. Yeah, during that difficult time, I would always replay the conversations that I had with my ex, or even it could be with an ex-friend. I would always wonder if I was just too much for them, or if I'm too much for everyone, and question whether I should have handled things differently. Please remember that that part is normal. Growth often makes you feel uncomfortable before it feels empowering. But what also happens is that space opens up. Space for people who actually respect your boundaries, people who actually listen when you speak, and you don't need to shrink yourself just to keep things peaceful. It can be a space for relationships to feel safe and mutual and just easy to be in, you know? You don't lose people by knowing your worth. You just stop giving access to those who benefited from you not having it. And that's something you should not feel guilty about. It's something that you should be really proud of. I love Mel Robbins. I would always take advice from her. Love you, queen. I remember she said this quote and it really stuck with me till this day. She said, "You don't find the right people by clinging to the wrong ones. You find them by walking away from what isn't meant for you." You don't need to prove yourself. You need to protect it. The moment you stop explaining yourself, stop over apologizing, and stop accepting behavior that hurts you, that's when everything changes. If this video resonated with you, I really want you to take the time today and really ask yourself, where have I been accepting less than I deserve? You know, I actually still come back to this question time to time. Of course, not to judge how I handled things in the past, but to remind myself how much I've grown and how far I've come. It helps me see the strong woman I always looked up to and became now. And remember, protecting your peace will always be worth it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is just my name, elenatsushima, and I do have a wellness account called mindfulforme where I share self-improvement content like this. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!